Hello, hope everyone is ready for a great session. If you haven't read about Dr. Galley's channel or seen the videos about her background, be sure to check them out. Files for Doreen and Benjamin's are available on the invite as well as computertalkradio.com. Earlier in the year, we did let you know about Doreen's ninth patent being issued. We have one more recent accomplishment to denote. Dr. Galley recently achieved her Distinguished Toastmaster status. Without further ado, please help me welcome none other than the lady herself, Dr. Doreen Galley. Dr. Doreen?
Thank you, Jesse, for that wonderful introduction. And greetings from fabulous Las Vegas. The syndicated computer talk radio has been broadcasting weekly for 17 and a half years, long before podcasting became cool. It has broadcast weekly with no misses, no best of shows, and no reruns. Wow. 17 and a half years. Welcome to Industry Whispers, AMA with Computer Talk Radio's Benjamin Rockwell, TBW code 2088. Thank you for all those that registered and submitted questions. As we like to say, the answer's always in the whispers. So let's tune our attention to the honored guest, syndicated radio TV host and personality, and a big emphasis on and industry IT technology professional, Benjamin Rockwell. Welcome, Benjamin.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. So let's dive right into an icebreaker. You've been in tech since the days of the Commodore VIC-20.
hmm
What's one piece of tech nostalgia you still hold on to?
I have to narrow it down to one. That's kind of difficult. Actually, I've got a memory shelf that sits up behind me, and on that shelf is a TRS-80 Model 100. I have a netbook up there, and right in between my headphone, you can see one of the original Palm Pilots, actually back when they were made by U.S. Robotics before it was purchased by 3Com. And I love all of the different technology items. I have to actually be very selective on which of these tech items I hold on to.
I I hear you. It's very easy to become a hoarder to old technology because it's
hmm
just
hmm
so amazing. But it does come in handy for DEF CON. So so
Yes,
you're all
yes.
set. Yeah. So you're all set. Let's dive into your journey and the big lessons. What inspired you to start Computer Talk Radio, and how has your mission evolved over the years?
What inspired me? It actually wasn't so much of an inspiration as a stumbling into it. I started off way back as a teenager. I said I wanted to go into radio and television broadcasting. And along the way, I got disillusioned. I found out I had a number of my professors coming to me and saying, hey, you've got a good voice, you've got good timing. You do know that you're going to have to leave Southern California. You're going to have to get your start in East Podunk, Idaho. And I wait, Podunk, Idaho. No, East Podunk, Idaho. so so I took a detour. I was trying to figure out what to do, and somebody came along and asked me, "Hey, would you? You're running this BBS, and I've seen the work that you do with the tech. I've seen what you're going through, how you're diagnosing things. We need a field tech." All right. So fast forward through years of being in IT and being an IT consultant and so forth. One of my clients referred me to another client. And that new client, the first time out, I fixed their server up. The second time out, I fixed their network up. The third time out, they told me, as when you come out, we're going to have you sign an NDA. And I'm going, okay, I get you're a lawyer, you're a doctor. Okay, fine, I'll sign an NDA. And then what I found out was they were trying to syndicate another radio show host that was well known for computers and technology. And from there, we tried to syndicate him. But there's certain things about timing of segments. When you're syndicated, you have to provide very tight segments, and that guy was he had a tendency to ramble, and he would go way over. And we were spending so much time editing him. After a couple of months, they said, "Hey, next week you're going to run the show." Okay, fine. Um, so I took it over from there, and I've been doing it ever since. I moved it away from them. They dropped out of the business, and I self-produce it myself now. So, how's my mission evolved? It always has been the idea of helping people along with technology, about giving them some way to approach in, and just teaching all of the different experiences that I've had along the way. And yes, sometimes that includes stuff that I draw from way back when I was a teenager doing computing back then. But so it hasn't really evolved. Technology has, though,
Yeah, just a little bit?
just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was it your first foray into radio, or were you also on the high school and college radio stations?
I was not on the stations. I couldn't figure out a good timing to be on the college station that they had going. But I still, in my heart, kind of longed for doing that. So when I got the first chance, I still have the recording of the first time I was on air. I still have all of the recordings of every single segment I've done over the years, which takes up a ton of hard drive space.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just a little bit. Just a
Yeah.
little bit. So you've worked across many roles, field tech, you mentioned, IT manager, consultant. What's the most valuable lesson from all of those you've learned in helping everyday users?
Helping everyday users is something in my business role. I've left dealing with the end users, but I still keep this in mind even when dealing with tech users. We don't all have all of the answers. We don't in tech is so broad, so vast, that the best thing we can do is do our best with it when we're confronted with something new. It's not like you can go to college and you learn all about every single facet of information technology. Even learning all of the programming languages that are currently in use would take you years and years, and some of them would no longer be in use. So uh, I try to connect with people on the whole idea of, look, we don't know everything. I'm going to help you understand what I'm saying. Help me understand what you're saying. And it is really a lot of that communication goal, working back and forth with each other, that really helps all of us become better with technology.
Excellent. So how do you balance being deeply technical and being accessible?
I remember who my audience is. I remember all of the different things that I went through learning technology. One of the big things that really seek to pull upon is the idea of using metaphors. And everybody knows how to cook. Everybody knows how to drive. They've got the basics of a car. And I try to draw analogies there to kind of help bring people along. And I try to do that on a regular basis. I try to also translate a lot of the different things. If I'm going through and I'm broadcasting and I've got a word that I think two-thirds of the audience won't know what it is, or a term or whatever it is, I will translate that as quickly as I can and convert that on over for them.
Excellent. Yeah, no, that's very, very, very helpful. What's one thing you wish you knew when you were starting out in IT?
Get more sleep. It's a weird thing, but IT is a field which we are called upon as much as firemen, as much as doctors. We are relied upon. There are times in IT where we talk about we're putting out forest fires, we're putting out all of these things. We have to save the patient, which is server in Iraq and all of that. But early on, for a number of years, I didn't really get enough sleep along the way. And today, I make sure that I get my regular 8 hours of sleep in, and that helps keep me refreshed and knowledgeable, and also seeking knowledge versus struggling through. Okay, I need more caffeine. Here we go.
The higher IQ engagement in the job, the
Caffeine.
less you can get away without sleep, because the brain needs sleep.
Yes,
Yeah,
it does. It does.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. That was one of my best tips I did in college, was making sure my butt got to sleep, because then in the morning I'd wake up and then get the work done in half the amount of time. Where if I tried to finish it at night, it would take me 2 to 3 times as long, and it would be horrible. So
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
can't
definitely.
learn that early enough in tech, isn't that right? So
No.
for tech trends and industry ace insights, AI and automation, you covered AI's impact on jobs. What do you think IT leaders should be doing to prepare their teams?
I would say encouragement in delving into AI. And when I say encouragement, I'm not saying set up a bunch of guide rails or anything like that. One of the biggest things that I've said for a little bit of a while is we need to be diving in, and we need to be spending a good amount of time every week. And whatever segment of time you want to set up, if you spend 15 minutes a day just poking at AI, whether you're asking it questions, you're asking for it to do a report, you're asking for it to write an email for you. This is how we are all going to grow. This kind of it kind of goes back to the old days of hacking, not the malware, not the viruses, not the hacking into NORAD or anything like that. The old meaning of hacking is something that I covered just recently on my show, and it is something similar to this guy went out just recently, and he took an Anchor Prime charger, and it has this little 2.25-inch screen, but it has a 150 megahertz processor on it. So what did he do? He tweaked that. He tricked it into running the video game Doom from 1993 on it. That is hacking. So when we look at
Playing.
when we look at that, we should be approaching AI in the same way. What can we do with it? What can we find out about it? What can we have it find out about the information we're working with? And this applies not to just IT leaders, but every leader. And if your leader isn't telling you to do it, you should be doing this on your own. Everybody should be learning AI right now, because it is coming. It is not coming as fast as some of the people would say out there. It's not the big, huge, scary singularity that's going to all of a sudden take over the world like Skynet or anything like that. But we still need to be preparing. We still need to be learning. We need to be diving into it and expanding our experience and our minds instead of being couch potatoes.
Excellent.
And I think all IT people should be actually teaching exactly what I said there. They should be just using that framework. My own bosses recently have been doing exactly that.
Very good. Yeah, no, I had a vibe coding session yesterday. That was quite fun. Yeah,
Very nice.
it was a lot of
Yes.
fun. Yeah.
Mhm.
Although admittedly, I think back to the days when those poor people had to do batch and program on cards, and I guess
Oh
that's kind of
yeah,
like when we
yeah.
had typewriters. Yeah. It
Yes,
just
yes, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So what's your take on the growing movement around the right to repair and ethical tech?
I've been a proponent of the idea of the right to repair for a long time. As a matter of fact, up on the wall right here, I've got this poster that is from iFixit, and it says "Fix the World." And on another wall, I've got another one of their posters, which is this nice long list of what we as consumers should be expecting. And when we look at these devices, they're absolutely locked down. You know, you've got your smartphone and you can't even replace the battery on this anymore without getting the factory authorized, and they have to do these little codes in there and all of that. That's insidious. Imagine if your car was locked down like that.
They are.
Imagine if you're going down the highway and it doesn't matter which car. I won't name any names like Ford or John Deere, which have been getting into this field.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, I will. But like John Deere, they've locked things down. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to go to an authorized repair person. You've got to get the authorized parts, and you can't even rush them along. You're going to sit there. Your tractor, which is worth whatever it is, $500,000, $1 million, or more, is going to be sitting there gathering dust, and your crops are dying out there. That's scary. Nobody should be dealing with anything like that. So right to repair is something I think we should all be doing, advocating for, and going beyond that. So I come from the day and age when we built our own PCs.
Yep.
We
Built one
we should
myself.
all we should all at least once in our experience go through and learn how to build a PC.
Yep.
The components are replaceable. I've had people pay me to come on out and replace a video card. Okay, that's easy enough, but I can do it for you. But you know what? Oh, and this goes back to a lot of what one of those previous questions you had. I like to bring people along and say, look, come sit by me, and I'm going to show you how I do this. I'm going to walk you through the entire thing. Yes, some of them go, no, just do it on your own.
Mhm.
But others would come alongside of me and they would learn. And that was exciting for me. I loved doing that because it's a simple process. Um, Now you mentioned ethical tech as well. And I
Yep.
think ethical tech is something we all should be following the idea of being ethical and moral, and be thinking about how we're dealing with technology. And this can go in so many different directions. One of the things that I took a stance on very, very early when I was starting up Computer Talk Radio, I said, look, I've heard different hosts out there. One host was recommending recommending how to deal with a neighbor, which the caller was siphoning Wi-Fi off of them, and the password changed. And his suggestion was, well, find out what the new password was. No, go on out, get your own Wi-Fi, get your own high-speed internet. And another one was talking about a similar situation with cable, and I've seen a lot of these different things, and I said all of us, we need to be taking the proper stance. Is that to
Yep.
say I haven't made mistakes in the past? Is that to say that I haven't tinkered with Napster, that I haven't gone on the dark web? Is that to say I haven't really led the right path all the way along? No, no. But I have taken that approach ever since, and I have worked to make sure that what I'm doing with computing is above board and it's ethical. And I think we need to be applying that in so many different directions. And that includes with AI. That includes with every technology that we come across. One of the biggest things that when I think about ethics uh, and computing and AI and all of this, I go back to there's this scene in Jurassic Park, and it only lasts but just a single moment. You thought so much about if you could do it that you didn't think about if you should do it. Now, I had read that in the book. In the book, it is like 5 pages long, talking about how we should be doing the right thing. We should be thinking about all of the actions we're taking and the ramifications therein so we don't get eaten by dinosaurs.
Absolutely, or eaten by our AI.
Yes, yes. Skynet. Why is that guy coming in here? Why is he made out of metal? Uh-oh.
Oops, resistance is futile.
Oh, there you go. Another. How many movie franchises can we fit in here?
I know. When it comes to tech, there's no shortage of sci-fi, so that's always
No,
a good thing.
no, no, definitely not.
Can you explain the tech acceptance curve concept and how it applies to enterprise adoption cycles?
Okay. And how it applies to enterprise adoption cycles. All right. So, the idea of tech acceptance curve is this: there are a series of people out there, and some people are way early adopters. They are. They are actually in the innovation cycle. These are the people who were on AI as soon as they found out they could start tinkering with it. And then we've got the early adopters, the true early adopters, and that's actually separated into two separate camps. The early adopters that say, "This is exciting. This is something I can really latch onto, and I can wrap my brain around this." And then there's a later set of early adopters that happen to show up once the word starts spreading. Once everything starts really rolling, they're still early adopters. They're still ahead of the curve. They are sharing, all of these folks are sharing their passion for it. And then we move into the late adopters. Now, those late adopters, they've heard about it. There's so many people saying you got to get on the board with this, and they finally give in. And then there's the laggards. In technology, we would think of them as the Mennonites or the Amish, which is all fine and dandy. But that's I'm going to first equate that to the idea of 3D printing. 3D printing has a great promise to it. It has the innovators, absolutely great. They've come up and they continue to innovate. They continue to push the envelope with what we can do with 3D printing. And that includes both the additive, which we're spitting out little bits of plastic onto other little bits of plastic, as well as subtractive, where we're going through and we're cutting into pieces of metal, we're cutting into pieces of wood, and we're forming all kinds of different things, whether we're talking about a simple iPhone stands, or we're talking about replacements. People have replaced parts of their cars because I've got an old car. I can't get this piece anymore. I've gone to 20 different junkyards. I'm going to print it myself. And we've got a great thing going there. Now, it hasn't escaped the first portion of that early adopter phase. Its biggest problem is price point. And once we break that price point barrier where we can start getting more 3D printers going, we're going to have more people diving in. And we'll move through the rest of those phases. And there are going to be people who say, I never need a 3D printer, and they're never going to get one. Fine. Well, they're going to wait for the replicators from Star Trek. Now, how does it apply to enterprise adoption cycles? There are enterprises out there which do adopt things very quickly. One of the companies that I worked for a number of years ago, we're talking back in about 94, I was at that point in 94, I set up a website for this furniture manufacturer. I said, this is where we need to be. We were in the first million websites. That was exciting. And I had two other websites at that same time going. So I had three of the first million. So little pat on my back for that one. And they actually early on started to get business from that. They were in that innovation cycle. And that is great. Right now, we've got a lot of people who are doing AI, and we're starting to move. We've moved into that second of the early adopter cycle. We still have a lot of late adopters. People are saying, I'm not going to touch AI. I'm not going to dive into it because I don't see what the value is in it for me. And this has actually been a little bit of a struggle because some people have tried earlier versions of AI and they've said, yeah, okay, it's cute. It's fine. It can complete my sentence for me. Great. But there's a lot more that we're starting to see as each iteration of AI comes along. We should be training ourselves to learn that and learn the improvements and learn the stacked on improvements to that as we move along. And it doesn't matter which AI platform you're going to use. And this is something that is really important. Every enterprise out there, if you've got more than 20, 30 employees, you should be leveraging AI. You should be finding out what it can do for you. And you don't want to be a late adopter. You don't want to be the laggard unless all you do is make really, really nice furniture out of wood and using hand tools. Another
There
reference
you
to the Amish.
Yeah, no, there you go. I actually saw someone on LinkedIn the other day recommend the prompt that you ask it how it can help you and make your life easier. And then it
Yes,
will go and query you and make suggestions of how it can help you every day having a
yes,
more
yes,
efficient day. So if you're not sure how to get started, just ask it and
yes,
it'll tell you itself. So, pro
yes,
tip for those
yes.
that are late adopters on the Chat GPT and generative AI solutions. So, hyped versus underhyped. You covered Wi-Fi 8, Chat GPT, Windows 11. What emerging tech are you most excited about, and which one do you think is overhyped?
From those, Wi-Fi 8 is an incremental improvement. Chat GPT is exciting and it is also scary. It's like a roller coaster. You know, you go, okay, I want to hop on that roller coaster right there. But I am of a certain age where I've got to be very careful about the high speeds and the high G's and all of that. So it gets a little scary, but it's still exciting. It's still exciting to ride roller coasters. Chat GPT is um, it's really weird because it's underhyped and overhyped at the same time. Windows 11, completely totally overhyped. Windows, I am excited about Windows 12 because Microsoft tends to, when they replace an operating system they've really had problems with, both technology wise and consumer wise, their next one usually is just a home run. You think of Windows ME, bad. Windows XP, great, and so forth and so on throughout all of those iterations. Uh, we haven't heard a whole lot about Windows 12. There's been like little hints at it, and I'm excited about that one.
Very good. Very good. Leadership in the future of IT. What's your advice to CIOs and CTOs trying to stay ahead of the curve without burning out their teams?
Um, Encourage your teams to have at least some portion of time every week to do their own thing. A matter of go on out, and this has been replicated a number of places. I can't remember the big names who do this. Google has their form of it. Facebook has it. Microsoft. The idea of, look, whatever it is, 4 days a week, 4.5 days a week, you're going to work on your road to job. You're going to be dealing with all of these different operational items or these different strategic items. But go on out. I think Google calls them moon projects or something like that. I can't remember. It's something spacey, which is great. And spend that last 4 hours on Friday or all of Friday
Yeah.
chasing your tech dream. And The other thing beyond that would be to remember that people need a lifetime outside of work. And this is something that we struggle with in IT because we have, yes, everybody thinks IT can do everything. But we also have IT folks who have been conditioned to think we're the heroes. We're going to come swooping in when everything falls apart, but everything is always falling apart. So then we wind up taking on far more time, far more, using up far more energy of than what we have. So we get home at the end of the day and we're just burned out already. So I would encourage everybody in IT management, whether we are talking the CIOs and the CTOs, down through the VPs and the directors and the managers, encourage your people. Hey, you know what? You just worked the last 32 hours straight. You know what? Take the rest of the week off. Hopefully the response isn't, but it's Friday. But you got the idea there. It's a matter of, as we went back to, we were talking about sleep. The idea of rest will rejuvenate every worker. And that is going to be how you develop devoted workers that are better and stronger and that are going to stick around instead of chasing after another few dollars in their paycheck.
Excellent. And lead by example. So when you're on vacation, be on vacation.
Yes, yes, yes.
I once commented to one of my CVPs and I said, "You're not very good at holiday."
Hmm. Wow.
She's not very good at holiday.
Hmm.
Well, when you call in every day on holiday, then everyone on your team thinks they're supposed to on their holiday.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
pointed it out, and then they stopped doing it.
Yes. Yes. It's a very,
I did it
very
for a
accurate
reason
thing. Yeah.
because I'm one of the older people, and I know if you don't, then the younger people see it and they think, "Oh, okay, that's what you do on an off day. You call into your meeting still." No,
Nope. 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 Disconnect.
no,
If you're on
disconnect.
vacation, it's a day off. It's the
Yes,
weekend. Yes, be reachable in case there truly is a fire which you need to be involved in, but you don't need to be involved in every single fire. So that's
exactly,
yeah. Yeah.
exactly. Constant firefighting is not a culture to strive for. How
Hmm.
do you see the role of IT evolving in the next 5 years?
Oh wow.
Just a little
So
loaded.
yeah, this is tricky because a lot of people say that AI is going to come along and it's going to replace a lot of different coders out there. Well, we've just recently started to discover it's taken us 2.5 years for us to move AI into the idea of coding and move us forward in that direction. And there's a lot of people who are still hanging on to the idea of, oh, let's just get rid of all of our programmers and we'll just have the AI do it. And that is already starting to be a disaster as we get bloated code out of that. We get error ridden code. The code looks like it should work, but we don't have anybody to analyze that and go through and go, what is this weird line here? Um, IT is going to probably, this is my thinking, we're going to continue a lot of what we've done for the last few decades, which is encourage people forward. We're going to encourage the people that are not in IT to embrace more of the technology. We're going to continue, some of us are really good advocates, and those advocates for utilizing technology to make ourselves better are going to be the ones that stand out. Yes, there's still going to be a lot of roles out there for people who are going to fix stuff and to program stuff, but it's going to be a shaky road for the next 5 years for some of those folks. If I were going to give any advice to anybody in IT right now, is to find out how you can be an advocate, how you can come alongside and partner with people. And this is something that actually I've lived and breathed by that at work for a number of decades now.
Excellent. What's the one thing you wish every IT leader understood about communicating with non-technical stakeholders? Something you do quite often.
Um, One of the things that I frequently will start off any kind of a statement with, if I'm in a presentation, it's like, look, if you don't understand anything here, and it's worded different ways, but if you don't understand, if I say a term you don't understand, stop me. We will make sure you're brought up to speed. I only ask that of you as well. That if I don't understand, because IT people, all of us nerds out there, we whether we're on the spectrum or very close to that autism spectrum, we don't think like the rest of the folks out there. So building that communication with each other is something that is very key. And I've seen IT leaders go into meetings and they start throwing out acronyms, and they throw out various industry phrases that are just obscure. And I'll sit there and I'm like, okay, I don't know that phrase, and I'm in IT. I should know this. And then I look it up and I go, there's no way I should have known this. This is something that's way outside of my wheelhouse. And I wish every IT leader, everybody in IT would practice that, because the way we're going to build that communication between each other and the non-technical people is by making sure we're all up to speed. We're all using the same lexicon.
That's fantastic. I remember when I was on my sabbatical at Microsoft, the chat was frequently full. What's that? And someone would explain what it is. And sometimes it'd be a cultural acronym. Sometimes it would be someone said something culturally that someone who wasn't from the United States didn't understand. And so
Sure,
it
yes.
could be a technical term, or it could be a euphemism that was used that someone didn't follow. And so that was frequently in the chat session of the meetings to help explain it. But you're right. If you don't understand, it's your job. Listen, everybody, that's true. Raise your hand, shout out loud, put a comment in. What did you mean by that? And
Sure.
clarity will come your way. But you can't get clarity if you don't let people know that you didn't follow it.
Yes,
But and
and to
double
riff off
speak.
of that,
Yeah.
to riff off of that, I spent about 3.5 years working with an offshore team. I was the sole person onshore, native onshore, I should say. We had some techs that were onshore, but they were from India. And out of 100 people, there was one person who was American, and the rest of them were Indian. And I had to stop and pause and ask them if they understood some of the euphemisms I would be using, some of these different colloquialisms, and I would also ask them about their different phrases. Help me understand that.
Yes.
And I will tell you that actually built a lot of relationships. And that really helped us communicate better, but it also opened up just that personal side, which is so difficult to find in IT. That personal connection. So
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. But we have to help each other because it's difficult. I
Yes.
remember at Dell, my team from Hyderabad, when they came to Texas, we brought them in the factory. And at that point, they discovered that picking was literally picking things from the line. All this
Hmm.
time, they're writing code to support the factory. They never understood that picking was the part of the factory when
Sure.
you are
Sure. Yeah.
picking supplies to put into the tote to then go assemble a computer, like the
Hmm.
selection
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Something as simple as that. And so anytime you can bring someone into context, ask, because it was mortifying to think they were supporting and writing code for this for 8 months and had no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah.
level of not understanding what it was doing was kind of scary. So, absolutely. So, speaking of which, there's a lot of students currently working on their degrees in computer science, and we're one of the highest unemployed degrees right now in our society. What piece of advice would you give to a current computer science major?
Switch majors. No, that's kind of cold. I think it's still some of my answer is going to still remain the same with this. There are people who think I want to go into computer science because I want to be like that guy that who was it? Was it Facebook that's paying $1 billion to someone for their AI skills or something like that? You know, it's some outrageous fee that the salary. It might be Apple. That part doesn't really matter. The key thing I would look for is your passion money or is your passion tech? If your passion is money, don't go into computer science. The folks that I've learned that I've gone that have come along with me in this career, the ones that really find the best job satisfaction are the ones that are truly deep down inside nerds, that they truly and geeks and dweebs and the various other terms. I've used the term nerd for myself for so long. It's just natural. But however you frame around this, you should have a passion for whatever field you're going to go into. Yes, the passion for money should still be there because we all have to make a living. But you should find out if you are truly going into the business because you want to make technology better, people better, the relationship better between people and tech. You shouldn't be going into it with this whole idea of, oh, I can make a ton of money. That's probably the biggest suggestion I've given for quite a while now.
That's great advice. The other advice I would say is cyber is always good.
Yes.
There's no shortage of cybersecurity professionals.
No,
So
there isn't. There
go to
isn't. Yeah.
security, which means you better go deep and wide and really understand how the
Very
systems
true.
work.
Very true.
Deep understanding is required for that. So,
Yeah,
which
but that is
requires passion. You're not
yeah,
going to
and
get there if
that
that curiosity and passion's not there.
that's a very nerdy sector in a nerdy sector. And yeah, and long hours. The cyber folks are always on call. Always.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, it depends. Like the threat hunters aren't for emergencies. They're just watching them 24/7,
Hmm.
and they get the
Yeah.
cheat codes
Yeah.
that they give to the people on the ground. We had a great
Hmm.
video on
Hmm.
that for Black Hat, Microsoft's unmasking the bad guys or something. It's very good. Um,
Nice.
so in 2025, what's the most underrated skill in IT?
Underrated. Underrated skill. So we're not really talking about a subsection of IT, like a technical section. I would say communication. As much as I've preached communication here, I believe that is the most important thing in IT. We do not communicate well to each other. We don't communicate well with stakeholders. We don't communicate well with the customers, and we need to be constantly improving on that. And that's a very hard thing when you consider, again, we go back to how many are on the spectrum and how many are just uh, they went into computers because they found comfort in the bits and bytes, the logic that's there, and the ability to sit alone in a room and just type on the keyboard and type out code and make things work there. No, we have to be interacting. We have to be making friends, even especially with the people who aren't making friends. We need to bring them along too.
Very good point. Communication. So, how do you stay current with so many emerging technologies?
I every time we get a new emerging technology out there, so AI came along, and I will tell you that my first initial impression was, okay, it's an autocomplete. We've been dealing with this with Google. You know, we start typing in a question into Google, and it's going to autocomplete for us. And LLMs at that point in time were just a shade better than that. They weren't like there's an old program called Eliza that was on mainframes and early DOS systems, and you would ask it questions, and it would analyze what it could do with the limited processing of the day. And I realized it was better than ELIZA. And as we go along, I still followed on that. I still kept up to pace with that. And I then realized, hey, we're starting to hit that point. And I apply this all the way across. Whenever I can get my hands on any portion of tech, I will spend time with it. And there are areas which I have really enjoyed, and I've continued further than the initial exploration. I have a 3D printer that sits right over here next to me on
Of
a
course you
table,
do.
and I love 3D printing. There's a lot of that mechanical thing with it, and I start looking at again, staying current with these emerging technologies. I stay current with what can people get out of this? What can we do all the way along the way? Not just what's in it for me, but what's in it for everybody around me. And I think that's a lot of what my driver and my passion is. There are things where I don't find passion. Windows 11, but I followed all the way along, and I loaded Windows 11 early on onto one of my systems, which kind of proved out my reluctance, as well as a number of other people to this day. We're a matter of a month and a half away from the drop dead date, and I'm still seeing articles coming out in the press why I'm not going to go to Windows 11. I'm just going to stick with the Windows 10. What? Okay.
That's too funny. Yeah, no, it's it keeps you current, but it's the same curiosity that got you into tech. And if you don't have it,
Yes, yes.
then you're not going to have it to keep up to date. And if you have that curiosity, you can't help it. Though, admittedly, I have a lot less betas that I use with every decade as it goes by.
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
once you've gotten bit by so many betas, at some point you want to make sure your primary thing you're working on can get done. And
Yes,
if you play with
yes.
too many betas, it interferes with the primary problem you're trying to solve.
Oh, yeah. I've run into that many times.
How we have to get sophisticated as geeks. So, what's your favorite tech gadget you've ever reviewed and why?
The favorite that I've ever reviewed. Okay, so I want to select something other than the 3D printer. Because I actually I love the 3D printing, and that is one of the things that I have really gone through. Review itself, so review is kind of a tricky thing, because sometimes I don't necessarily. So when I think of review, I think of reviewing on the air, but there's different things that I've experienced that I don't review them on the air. I examine them, and I go chasing after them. And I think probably one of the first ones that I still hold a very strong place in my heart for is the Palm Pilot that I have sitting over my head on the shelf there, because that really opened up the idea when I started exploring this concept. And yes, we've moved on. 3Com bought them, and then it was renamed a Palm and all of that, and they disappeared, and we moved into smartphones. But some of my current experience still builds upon those early days. Some of my fascination with smartphones and the latest that we've got coming out still goes back to those early days of, hey, this is cool. What can I do with this? And thinking about the future. One of the things I said back then uh, to one of my coworkers, they were like, "Why do you have that thing in your pocket?" And I said, because this is something that's going to be the future. At some point in time, you and I will be able to have this conversation, and I might drop, hey, you know what, we should go to lunch and talk about X, Y, or Z. And My little pocket device is going to hear me say that. And your pocket device is also going to hear us talking about this. And it's going to be able to automatically check with us later and say, hey, did you really mean that? What you said to Angie about meeting up about lunch? Do you want to schedule a lunch? And then it will connect up and it will do all of this. And their eyes just got wide. They were amazed at this. We still haven't arrived there, but I've seen a number of people riff on that same kind of concept over the years, that this is something that's gonna come soon.
I love it. Admittedly, one of my memories of the Palm Pilot is I had a Palm Pilot, a RIM BlackBerry, and a cell phone. And they didn't fit in my tiny purse. And I was re-architecting Bell South enterprise architecture at the
Yeah,
time. And all
yeah.
these devices were falling over. This is before I filed my first patent application. And I'm like, does anyone see a problem here? This is kind of cloddy. 'Cause I had these 3 separate devices, right?
Yes,
Hello.
yes, yes,
Before I
yes.
knew to grab those ideas that this isn't right, that means there's a problem to solve, solve it, Doreen. But yeah, no, the Palm Pilot was definitely a lot of fun, especially if you knew the shorthand.
Mhm, mhm. Yes, yes.
So let's do a lightning round.
Okay.
Team iOS or Android?
I slightly iOS. I like some of the things in Android, but iOS is definitely where I spend, that's my go-to, at the end of the day.
Excellent. Most common mistakes people make with their home Wi-Fi.
Placement. They sit it in a corner of the basement, or they put it somewhere where it's not centralized. It should always be centralized.
And not on top of your cell phone repeater if you have one.
Yes, yes, yes. Away from other radio and television devices. Yes.
A piece of technology you cannot live without.
Hmm. I try to stay disconnected enough from all technology to say so I don't have to say I can't live without this, but I would say the closest to that would be smartphone.
Mac or PC for business?
For business, definitely PC. Down the line, there's yeah a number of things with that are great for the Mac OS. I'm talking to you right now on a Mac machine, and I've had a Mac machine for ages. But I even for personal use, I trend towards the Windows machines.
Now, I don't know if you have this handy, the last photo you took.
I already know. It was a picture of a roller coaster that I had just ridden, and this is just a matter of a few days ago. It was an amazing roller coaster.
Oh, that's great. Most
Yeah.
used app on your phone.
Um, Mail. It's kind of boring, but mail. The email is just constantly in use for me.
I'm thinking, I know the answer to this one. If you weren't in tech, what would you be doing?
I'd be holding up a sign by the side of the road, say "We'll work for food." I you know, I would I would like to have thought that I would have eventually gone back around into radio and television broadcasting, far more on the technical side. But I don't know. I've been in tech for over 35 years now, so it's kind of hard to say.
I figured radio.
Yes.
What's the future of computer talk radio?
What is the future? I want to continue to follow along with it, but we've arrived at and I will as long as I can. I do realize that the name is starting to, I don't want to say become stale, but the idea of computers being our end all be all is starting to drift and merge. We have so many different things. Yes, they are technically computers. Yes, my smartphone is a computer. Yes, my microwave has a computer. Yes, my oven has a computer. Yes, my Alexa device is. If we can, and I continue to preach that, I continue to point that out. but I'm still going to be continuing to talk about it. It is a wonderful experience. I get to talk to a number of people about technology, to share information with them, and to bring more knowledge to them. So I'm going to do this as long as I can talk.
Excellent. Any parting thoughts before we go to announcements?
Parting thoughts. Stay curious. Stay, kind of like that poster up there, fix the world. A matter of thinking about going back to that old school thing of hacking. Explore technology, explore computing, expand your mind by being curious and just diving deeper into all of the wonderful, imaginative ways that we can better our lives.
So, if you've got a tough tech problem, become a client today at TBW Advisors. Same price as adding on a seat to the major groups, except you actually get a tech expert as opposed to maybe an English major or something. More importantly, you get someone who's been there, done that, and is in the weeds on a regular basis to help make sure you get the advice you need to get through. Coming soon, we had some amazing conferences coming up, so stay tuned for their coverage. We have the Commercial UAV Expo, September 2nd to the 4th. Those are all the drones, commercial unmanned aerial vehicles, but a lot of them are manned. We have HR Tech, September 16th to the 18th. Pack Expo, September 29th to October 1st. That's all the neat automation that happens at the end of the factory. Had some amazing content. Last time we covered them was in 19. Mobile World Congress is coming to Vegas this year, October 14th to the 15th. And we have a press pass, so we will be right on the floor. And remember, after a lot of these events, I get home now and I'll hop on with Benjamin right away to record some content for that weekend. So if you want to hear what happened, be sure to tune in to Benjamin's show. Retail Supply Chain Expo and Logistics. We covered Manifest earlier this year. Got another retail and logistics conference on the 15th and 16th of October. Money 2020, diving into fintech, October 26th to the 29th. And remember, as always, future industry whispers are being planned. Watch the community section for opportunities to register and submit your questions. We're also prolific on LinkedIn and on Facebook. So tune in to YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. This has been Industry Whispers, AMA with Computer Talk Radio, Benjamin Rockwell. Be sure to catch him every week on his syndicated radio talk show, wherever you get yours. The answer's always in the whispers. Join the conversation and subscribe today. Have an amazing day, everyone, and thank you for joining.